Romans 5:8-10 says, God shows his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. And then the verse goes on to talk about that if he died for you while you were yet a sinner, if he loved you that much that he died for you while you were still in your sin, my goodness, now that you've accepted him, every day he's going to deliver you now. Because you have a new way to walk, a new way to think. The Lord is right there with you now. Most people go, well, I have to clean up my act and then the Lord will save me. No. The Lord saves you while you're yet a sinner. And when you don't have a love relationship with Christ, there's always going to be a wall there. And sometimes it's a wall of pretense. You're not a real person. You may be in church, you may have a faith community, but really nobody knows the real you. And when people don't know the real you, you don't know the real you either. And that puts a wall up. You don't know the gift that you are, and you don't know how the Lord values you. If you don't value yourself, you're going to draw people to you who will not value you. So tonight's message is a message that will hopefully show you how much God values you and how important it is that you value yourself in the Lord. So again, are you valuable to God? Well, let's look at 1 Peter 1:18-19. For you know that God paid a ransom to save you from the empty life you inherited from your ancestors. And it was not paid with mere gold or silver. So the ransom that God paid was the lifeblood of his Son, Jesus Christ. And that was the only thing that could buy us back. So Luke 12:6-7, we'll start with that verse. It says, are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 pennies? And not one of them is forgotten before God. So Jesus begins to present this idea, this belief about how God values his people. And he uses some kind of insignificant creature, like a little teeny tiny sparrow. And he says, are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 pennies? And then he makes this remarkable statement. He says, and not one of them are forgotten before God. Some of us feel like that God forgets us. How can we ever think that? Because that is a lie. If God can't forget a sparrow that flies, and there's millions of birds, he can't forget one of those. Certainly he's not going to forget someone who's been created in his image. Why, even the hairs of your head are all numbered. So another way Jesus used almost hyperbole to make an illustration. Your one strand of hair really is very insignificant to you. Wouldn't you agree? You don't even know when you lose a hair. You don't even know when you gain a hair. It's very trivial when you think about that. And yet, Jesus is speaking, and we know Christ is speaking the truth. He's saying that God even knows every hair on your head is numbered. So in that, the Lord is trying to show us, hey, everything about you is important to the Lord. Even what you would think is the most trivial thing, the Lord sees it. He even numbers the hairs on your head. That is a statement that shouldn't just go over your head. Because in the midst of the world we live in, you can really grab a hold of some lies that you're not important to God. And that the Lord is not interested in what you would call trivial things of your life. Now, if you would begin to meditate on that and understand the truth that he's very much interested in you. He cares about you. He cares about some of the very, very personal issues in your life. I would think your hair count is personal. How about you? So if he knows that and he's interested in it, it would behoove you and I to begin to think on that and meditate on that, because if we'll do that, we're going to change up how we think God thinks of us and how we think of ourselves, how we value ourselves. Because you can only value yourself if you absolutely know that God values you.